So the NBA Finals Game 2 is a wrap. The OKC Thunder won 123 to 107, and I thought this was going to happen. I thought the Thunder were going to come down and put their foot on the necks of the Pacers in Game 2 because they're the better team. Even if you go back to Game 1, the Thunder did look better than the Pacers for the majority of that game. 46 out of the 48 minutes in that game, the Thunder controlled it. And even in this game, you saw the Thunder controlling. They look like the better team. And one thing that I noticed from the OKC Thunder is their defense. Their defense is literally marked above any defense in the league right now, dude. I haven't seen a defense like that in a very long time. I mean, they were not allowing the Indiana Pacers to get in any kind of groove. And even though you can focus on the defense, I think it even starts with the Oklahoma City Thunder on offense, because their offense was so good that the Indiana Pacers were not able to get out in transition because they couldn't get stops on the Thunder. And since the Indiana Pacers couldn't get out in transition, they were forced to play a half-court type of offense, and that half-court offense is the perfect offense for the OKC Thunder to defend. It would be very tough for the OKC Thunder to guard this Pacers team if they could get out in transition every single possession, but they're never getting out in transition because the Pacers aren't getting any stops on the Thunder. And since they're not getting any stops on the Thunder, they can't push it in transition. You're not going to be able to push it off an inbound, especially not against a defense like OKC. You might see that sometimes in like the WNBA or like in college basketball. You're not going to see that much at the highest level, especially not in the finals. You're not going to be able to push the pace in transition off an inbound in the finals against the best defense in the league. Just not going to happen. So if you want to be able to beat this Oklahoma City team by using your sauce, your secret sauce, if you're the Pacers that is pushing the pace in transition, you have to get stops before you can push the pace. I've been seeing a lot of people saying that defense doesn't win championships anymore and that offense wins championships. And that whole idea is just dumb because offense is predicated upon your defense. If you want to play fast and you want to get all these open threes in transition, you have to actually get a stop to even do it. So even though offense seems so much more flashy than it was in the past, defense is still at the root of everything. You're not going to be able to play fast and play with the spontaneous drive we've seen the Pacers play with throughout the entire playoffs if you don't play defense. And one of the biggest reasons why the Pacers are where they are now is their defense. A lot of the time early in this game, you saw them actually packing the paint, but leaving perimeter players wide open. And this worked early in the game. I think SGA was 2 for 5 after the first quarter. But after that first quarter, SGA got into a groove and the packing the paint thing wasn't working. So SGA was cooking you on the 1v1s. You were trying to double team SGA and send extra bodies to him, and that wasn't working. You were leaving the Isaiah Hartensteins, the Chet Holmgrens, and even Aaron Wiggins open on the 3. He had an amazing game. You were leaving all these perimeter players trying to guard SGA, and then your guarding on SGA wasn't even working. You saw Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard. You saw all these guys get a look at SGA, but none of it was really working. SGA was going to work, and that's just talking about SGA as a great player. Like, let's give him his props. He's the MVP for a reason. Do I think Jokic should have won MVP? Do I think Jokic had a better season? Yes. But do I think SGA is MVP caliber? Heck yes, man. This is the best guard in the league right now, and I say that as a Curry fan. I say that as a Luka fan. SGA is probably the best guard in the league right now, especially with the way he plays on both sides of the basketball, and I love his mentality, man. This is a guy that goes out there. I know he's corny a lot. He's very corny at times, but this is a guy that really does not care about what other people think, and the nonchalantness, it's really just leadership. He's a leader on the court, and his teammates can look to him to always be poised. He's never really shaking. He's never wavering. He's always just looking to the next play. Even after that big-time collapse in the last game, you saw him talk about it after the game, and he was like, man, it's nothing. You know, it was just another game. We got to come out, you know, nothing too special. And people were like, that's corny. And it felt corny, you know, when you're a Pacers fan and you're just like, oh, we won. But at the same time, if you look at what he's really saying, he's like, man, like, let's just focus on the next game. It was nothing but a game. We lost. Okay, we still got so many more opportunities to win in this series. That's why I think this OKC team is very scary. Do I think the series is over? I don't think the series is over at all. I think what you're probably about to see is that you're going to go back to OKC and the series is going to be tied 2-2. If you're an OKC fan, do not get too high on your horse. As an Indiana guy, let me let you know about our team. Indiana does not quit. One bad game is not going to stop this team, and they do get better as they go on. We haven't seen Tyrese Halliburton have a game yet. Halliburton's going to have a game, and then you're probably going to have a game in this series where Hali and Pascal have a game. So you still got to wait for those games to pop up. Halli's going to have a 30-point. You know, Siakam's going to have a 30-point. Nesmith is going to go Klay Thompson. He kind of went Klay Thompson in this game, but he's going to go further, more Klay Thompson. I don't think the series is over. I think Indiana's at least going to get a game at home for sure. And so you're probably going to tie this series back up going back to OKC. And so if you're the Indiana Pacers, you can be very happy because you took one of the games in OKC. You took home court advantage from them. So all you got to do is win one at home or win two at home, and it's 3-1 or 2-2. So you are in a very good position because you won that first game, but you do have to look at your situation with a bit of a scary perspective. Because one thing that has to really be understood, even though the series is tied up 1-1, is that for the majority of the minutes played in these first two games, the Thunder have looked like the better team. Aside from those .3 seconds where the Pacers took the lead in game 1. Like, it looked like OKC throughout these first 2 games. OKC has been a better team. Their defense has been better. Their offense has been better. And you have not seen anybody do anything to SGA yet. What did he have? 38 in the first game, 34 in the second game. That means he's averaging 36 on the series so far, man. You haven't put anybody on him to make anything way too difficult for him. In that first game, he just missed some shots, but he still got good looks. In this game, he really didn't miss that many shots. He was hitting those mid-range jump shots, and he really wasn't even shooting the ball too much. That was the scary part. Like, you saw him for moments go into a groove of shooting the basketball, but SGA was kind of passive in this game. It is very scary what SGA is doing to you. You have to get a nice body on him, but I don't think the Pacers have anyone they can really put on him besides Siakam. I think Siakam could be that guy you might want to throw at SGA, but I know one thing's for sure. You can't put Manthrin on SGA again, and you really can't do the Nembhard thing again because those guys just don't have the size and they don't have the IQ to guard SGA. So if you're the Pacers, man, you are kind of scared about the whole SGA thing, and when you're trying to guard him, because you did do a good job on him in the first quarter, what you were doing, though, was you were packing the paint, leaving those perimeter players open. That's not going to work. So I don't know what the Pacers can really do to improve their defense besides just being more physical and playing with more effort and get more rebounds, because they lost the rebound battle big time in this game. And obviously OKC is the bigger team, but a lot of those balls were 50-50 balls, and there were a lot of times where there was a loose ball and the Pacers just weren't going for it. They weren't sprinting to get the basketball. This game was not the best game you saw from the Pacers. They obviously got kind of blown out here. This was a game that in theory they could have won so long as they played better on offense, but you're not going to be able to play better on offense unless you play better on defense. And right now it's seeming like they can't really throw anything at this Thunder team. They just look better. The Thunder just look like a better team. The only advantage the Pacers have is the Thunder are young, and the Thunder are going to have some bad games in this series. And when they have bad games, the Pacers are the kind of team that are going to capitalize. I mean, look at game 1. Like, the Thunder went on a dry spell for 3 minutes in that game, and the Pacers capitalized and took the lead. And they were down 15 and with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So if you start wavering at any moment, the Pacers are going to make use of that. And you saw even in this game, there were stretches where the Pacers went on runs, like multiple times in this game, and they cut it to like 13 a few times. It seemed like the Pacers could get back into it. They just didn't have enough, and OKC was very intentional about keeping their foot on the gas. They were very intentional about not letting the Indiana Pacers get back into the game, which is why the Pacers weren't able to. But I do think you did see those moments, and those moments are very promising if you're a Pacers fan like me. I'm a Hali guy, and let's talk about Hali. He's got to be more aggressive. I hate the announcers. It was like one of the worst announcing crews I've ever listened to in a finals game. Like, I just hate it. I don't like the combination of Mike Breen, Doris Burke, and Richard Jefferson. It's just annoying. But, you know, as much as I hate Doris Burke, as much as Mike Breen has fell off, one thing Richard Jefferson was saying, even though he's very annoying, was very true. One thing he was saying was that Halliburton's got to be more aggressive early in the game. He started being aggressive way too late. But one of the things that you have to look at is the fact that they're putting that defense on him. They're looking to ice out Halliburton and make somebody else beat you. And there were a lot of looks for Nembhard in this game. And I was talking about it on Twitter early. I was like, Nembhard, you know, is given a lot of space here. And early on, he was actually going to work. He had like maybe 6 points in the first 5 minutes of the game, and I made a tweet about it. But from then on, he was not able to make use of all of the space he had on the offensive end of the basketball. So they're giving Nembhard a lot of space, but Nembhard is not the kind of player, at least in this game, who can make use of it, because this is a game where you kind of expect Nembhard to go out there and score 25-30. With the amount of space they were giving him, and they were icing out Halliburton, and the shots he were getting up, he should have had like 25-30 points. But he's too young. He's not that kind of guy. He had the worst plus minus on the team, and he was 4 for 8. But if you actually watched the game, you saw there were a lot of plays where he just was not getting it going. He had opportunities in this game, but he just was not able to make use of the fact that the defense was letting him cook. Like, they were kind of like, you know what, we're going to focus on Hali early on. We're going to let you do your thing. And he was not able to really get into a groove. So if you're the Pacers, keys of the game is freeing up Halliburton. And I think Richard Jefferson was saying something that was very smart on the broadcast as well, is that Hali needs to get down low, make some layups early, which is going to unclog the passing lanes. Like, you have to get down low. You have to score early. It's going to be tough, but he is a good enough player to do it. I went on the record and said that Halliburton was a superstar in my last video. A lot of people have been saying it. Everybody but Stephen A. Smith was saying this guy's a superstar. If you really are a superstar, which I think Hali is, you should be able to go out there and score even with this kind of defense. Like, there's no, this defense is too hard for me to score. Like, you can't give him that excuse. He should be able to break past this very difficult defense from OKC. This is the hardest defense he's seen all year, but he should be able to break through it, at least get going early on to where you can unclog those passing lanes and you can get somebody else going. And so even though you might not be able to score 30 because they're putting that defense on you. If you can put up 15 points throughout 3 quarters, that way the defense is kind of focused on you. At least you're on their alert and they have to clog up on you in the paint. Then you can get somebody else going like a Siakam. He'll have more room. You saw Miles Turner get into a groove in this game, but it was kind of too late. You want him to get going earlier. You want somebody else like an Obi Toppin, like a Nesmith. Nesmith hit some threes in this game. He did have 4 of them, but he didn't get off that many shots. They came like periodically, maybe like one every single quarter for Nesmith. You want to see him get up more shots, but he's not going to get up those shots unless those passing lanes are open for Hali to find his teammates. The offense for the Indiana Pacers just was not very good in this game, man. It was like a lot of standstill passing the ball around. The OKC Thunder forced him to go ISO a lot, so it wasn't working. I think OKC just played exceptional in this game. They did what you expected them to do in this game. They came out, put their foot on the necks of the Indiana Pacers, and they got the win. I got to give it to them. SGA was cold in this game. Chet was good in this game. Lou Dort, and man, Aaron Wiggins, man, I'm proud of that guy. I don't even know who he really is. I did not watch that many OKC Thunder games in the regular season. I'm just being honest with you. So I don't know much about this guy, but I really admire the fact that he came out there and had a game like this. Now, he's a guy that I've seen in a lot of trade talks. I know he has a lot of value because he's a younger guy who has a lot of defensive potential and he has a lot of offensive potential. So he's not a scrub by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm not acting like this is like some random trash guy coming in and having a good game. He obviously has his stripes in the league, but I'm proud of him just being in the finals and doing what he did out there. Like, he was one of the best players on the court. I hope he can get some money, man. Like, he needs to be paid whenever contract years for that guy. Like, pay him, because I like his mentality. Every time they did a close-up on him, he was just like focused. Like, I like the OKC team. Like, even though I'm going for the Pacers and obviously I'm an Indiana guy, we talk about the Indiana fever over here all the time. Like, OKC is a good team. They have a lot of good guys who are very focused, and they have the kind of brotherhood that the Pacers have. So I got to give them their props in this game. They played well. SGA played well, and you're going on into Indiana, and I don't think OKC is going to win 2 games in Indiana. I think Indiana is probably going to win game 3, and they could even win game 4. I think Indiana could. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be 2-2 though, going back to OKC, and I think OKC is probably going to win at home again. So it's going to be one of those series where I don't know, because I think OKC could win in 6, hypothetically. I think that's probably where we're going with this series, OKC winning in 6. But I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana won 2 games in Indiana, because they are very good at home. Like, there's something about Indiana that is just very hard for other teams to play in, and they have like this juice when they play at home. This was a bad game for Indiana as far as turning over the basketball. Like, a lot of those turnovers just don't have to happen, and it's not just the OKC defense. Like, they have things they can fix, and going home, I think those things are going to be fixed. They have a sense of urgency probably going back home. The question is, do they have enough skills to get enough stops against the OKC Thunder to win these games? If they do, if they can pick up their defense and play really good defense against OKC, I wouldn't be surprised if they won 2 games at home, just because they're really good in Indiana. I think OKC should have won 2 games at home. They just got the life taken out of them in game 1. I was kind of expecting it to be 2 games in OKC for OKC, 2 games in Indiana for Indiana. So if Indiana can go home and win those 2 games, that would all, that 3-1 series lead would all be predicated upon like that first win you shouldn't have had. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I still got hope for Indiana. I'm not going to count them out. It's 1-1. I think it's going to be a long series. I don't think you're going to have too many close games in this series down to the wire like in that first game. But I do think it's going to be a longer series, kind of like the OKC Nugget series, even though the games weren't close. There was just kind of a back and forth blowout sort of thing. That might happen with this series. But we'll see. I hope we're going to have some close games, some fun games. One thing I do have to say, though, there were a lot of fouls called in this game, man. You got to let those guys play. It's the finals. They're 2 physical teams. They're scrappy. Y'all got to stop calling all these fouls, man. These refs were kind of tripping in this game. I didn't want to say too much about the refs, but, man, they were kind of calling too many fouls in this game, and I think they could do better about not calling so many fouls. Early on in the game, they were letting them play, and then at some point, they just decided, like, no, we're not going to let them play anymore, and that was just kind of annoying. You got to let them play. But either way, I'm done with this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did, man. More videos to come. And if you guys are wondering why I'm not using film in the NBA breakdowns, it's because I can't. I'll get copyrighted, so I don't mess with the film when it comes to NBA games. I don't even know how I could get the film. I know you can use the highlights on YouTube, but then, the whole copyright thing and the claims. I'm not trying to have anything sketchy going on my channel, so I'm not even going to mess with it. I have used film in NBA videos before, and I've gotten copyrighted, and all that is a mess. Nothing I want to deal with. So even though I want to show you guys the game, not going to do that here. There are a lot of people who actually break down the film NBA-wise, so I'm sure you can find some people who are breaking down the film if you haven't seen the game. But either way, I'm done with this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. Peace out.